things. One, even though artificial life might be possible, that doesn't necessarily mean it will be intelligent on itself. For various reasons. One of them is God's inconsistent theory, which means you cannot completely describe something, even if you replicate it to the minimum level. And if you use the same materials itself, then it's just cloning, which raises a completely different debate.
Alright, is that it? Now, back to ours. Most of our arguments still stand. God's incompleteness theorem still stands in the fact that even if you can understand something, even to the new level, there's always going to be one level larger. There's always going to be not just single molecules. Yeah, they not only have to recreate. Not only they talked about how they were able to recreate single-celled organisms that can replicate. No, they have to recreate an entire human for it to be considered artificial intelligence at the same level that we are at. On the other, Second, there was there was also the Chinese man in Rook. How do you know specifically that he's conscious? You cannot prove existence once again, and that's just Plato's cave. All right. So, and the last argument is hardware limitation. So, yeah, okay, and that's about all we have to say about that. Unfortunately, yeah, we're done.
Yep. 1 second.
We take your time.
You guys, what's down there?
Yeah. 1 second. Hey, do you want to use the mic? Because like I don't. If you want, you can put it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, can I start? So I'm afraid the proposition has given a kind of false definition of intelligence to me. They modeled it perfectly, but they kept referring to like human beings. But being intelligent does not necessarily mean to have the same human characteristics. Creating artificial intelligence is like creating intelligent agents, which exclude characteristics like temptation to lie or being insulted. For example, an aeronautical engineer, maybe some of you have become one, is not interested in designing a plane exactly like a bird. What they're interested in designing a plane that can fly. What we're interested in today is whether an intelligent being can be intelligent in the model they have described, but not necessarily like a human being. It does not necessarily have to be insulted when you make arguments against it. So we want to make that clear definition before we even go further into rebuttal. Now I'm going to pass it on to my colleague who's going to go more into the arguments and rebuttal.
We need a definition.
Alright, so first I would like to talk, you mentioned briefly the amount of processing power that would be required in order to recreate the human brain. It was really hard to find an estimate of the processing power of the human brain because it's not really a computer that you can measure. And, but some estimates went from 37 petabytes to 1 exabyte, which is 1,000 petabytes. And so the supercomputers that we have already are pretty close to that. We have, in Japan there is the K supercomputer, which is about 10 petabytes. Then there's, IBM has one that, I don't remember the name, but it has 16 petabytes. And the trend just keeps on increasing because of Moore's law, which means that the amount of transistors that we can put on the integrated circuits increases exponentially over time. It doubles every 2 years, well, 18 months to 2 years. And that's why we've seen over such a short amount of time, such a large increase in processing power in computers. So the processing power, we're getting there. Then also the Turing test, which is to convince a human that the computer has to convince a human that it's human, is not really a measure of intelligence because what would you consider, for example, alien life? An alien wouldn't convince you that it was human since it doesn't look like a human, yet you would still consider it intelligent. Also, when we like to think that humans are really intelligent, just think about the genetic difference between yourself and a chimp. You wouldn't really consider a chimp to be a genius, and yet you have less than 1% difference with genetically. So because of DNA. And also, when we talk about the theorem, the name escapes me, when we thought that flight was impossible, we didn't really want to recreate the bird. We simply wanted an alternative that would allow us to fly, and so we have planes. And you can't argue that planes don't fly. So
Yes.
Okay, so I have to rush through this. Stay with me. The Chinese room, the serious Chinese room is like an analogy that is a thought experiment. That not a single entity in the Chinese room understands Chinese. But the problem with this is that our mind is not designed like that, nor intelligence. We're a system, and as a system, the room understands Chinese. For example, not a single neuron in your body, or not a single point in the brain understands, or even English that as I speak. But as a system, as an entity whole, we understand Chinese. That's like a classic response to Shirley's argument. There's four more. You mentioned the Gödel's theorem, right? And Gödel's theorem is like that. There's going to be infinite regress thing, but that human being, John Searle also admits that even human beings are subject to those infinite regress. So creating artificial intelligence doesn't necessarily mean going beyond the Gödel's theorem. It's just it can still be bound by the Gödel's theorem. They've also talked about empathy and emotions, different kind of things, and self-awareness. Self-awareness, Turing test, it's clear we have debuggers that test the self and be self-aware. We have emotions, mechanisms. So for example, fears perhaps a certain source of urgency, which means it was designed through evolution, which we can also create replications of it. We have artificial emotion that can simulate it to the brain, so I'm talking really fast. So last 10 seconds, I want to really quickly talk about the burden of proof, which means that something is impossible, like I said, alien. The burden of proof is not on us, but the burden of proof is on them. To show that something is impossible, not only shows they have to debunk every argument that we gave, but they also have to formalize a positive argument that says if no scientific technology, no kind of philosophical argument can ever suffice as artificial intelligence. Like possibility of aliens, they have to show that aliens are impossible. Impossible, not even possible. So the burden of proof is on the proposition. Thank you.